Hello students, how do you do? Hope you are all doing well. Hearty welcome to uh, for today's online and offline class. Dear students, as we are dealing with class 9th subject English, and as we already seen the essential skills of a English language in my previous class. So let me continue the same language skills which are needed for ourselves. Dear students, a language plays a very important role in our life, and English is being an international global language. So these four essential skills are very much needed to learn or to equip ourselves. We have to inculcate and imbibe these skills without fail at all. So, English language, not only English language, be it any language, will have these essential skills which are very much needed. And as human beings can never live in isolation, they share the planet, so they need to exchange a message with their partners for a specific purpose. They need to share messages about their needs, passions, pains, anger, favorites, dreams, plans, and discoveries. They also need to find a different means to exchange a message about these different purposes. They can be involved in this process in what is known as a communication, when an information flows from one person to another. So, as English is used by mainly three group of speaker, those who have inherited it as their birth tongue, and those who acquired it as another second language, and those who are compelled to use it for some special purposes. So, dear students, we are being the learner of English as a second language. So, these four skills are very much essential, and out of these four skills, in my previous class, we began with a listening skill, and we had gone through in great detail the listening skills. Even we also came to know about the effective listening skills, and these listening skills are going to lead towards the next skill, that is none other than the speaking skill. So, dear students, here this particular picture conveys us the things which are needed in our life, and as itself it indicates, a listening is a primary need and the first step of learning a language. And after listening, we have to comprehend it, we have to understand it. And when do you come in a particular status of understanding, and at that time we are going to talk, or we are going to speak. Reading and writing also plays a very important role in any language learning. So that's why we began our teaching learning transaction upper class ninth with a listening skill, and today we are going to talk about the speaking skill, which is the second essential skill of learning a language. So, students, you should keep it in mind that speaking is a production skill. Speaking is a production skill that involves listening skill also. That means both speaking and listening skills are interconnected. Without listening, speaking is not a possible, and the relationship between these two skills is corresponding one. And that is what we have to understand it. So, as dear students, listening is very essential and fundamental component of communication skill. At the same time, dear students, speaking is also the skill that makes a human being different from other. And even because of the skill, human beings are called as superior animal compared to that other living beings or other species of living being only. And that is what the difference between the human being with other living being, because human being intelligibly start speaking, and because of this skill only he is different from other living being on this earth. So let me today talk about this speaking skill, and this speaking skill is need of each and every one of us to develop our language ability and present in a far more effective way. So, dear students, so as we are talking about the speaking skill, first of all, we should know what is actually speaking. What do you mean by the speaking itself? So, for this question, we may get the answer like this: speaking is the delivery of a language through the mouth. To speak, we create a sounds using a many parts of our body, including lungs, vocal tract, vocal cords, tongue, teeth, and lips. So these are the organs of speech which are going to help to produce the sound. So in this way, we learn to speak, and if at all we learn the language naturally, and that language is none other than our mother tongue. And we need no more difficulties to learn our mother tongue, but if we want to learn the another second language, then we need a rigorous practice. So, dear students, one thing we should keep it in mind that without speaking or without speech, we cannot communicate with one another. The importance of speaking skill, hence, is enormous for all the learner of any language, whether it is a English, whether it is a any other language. Because without a speech, a language is reduced to a mere script itself. And that's why we should use a language in an active process, and language learning is an activity which takes place within the confines of our community. And while speaking, we use a language in a variety of situations. So, that's why, dear students, speaking skill is nothing but while we are speaking, we should keep and we should equip ourselves these following some points which are essential. So, first of all, while delivering a speech, or if at all you are going to speak, at that time we should know what we want to say to the others. First of all, we should know whatever we want to say. That means we should be very clear about what we are going to speak. And in that process of speaking, we should not feel any kind of fear. We feel confident to speak and stop talking too much in that process, because listening is also essential. Without listening, sometimes we can't able to reciprocate in the dialogue or in the talk or in the communication. And whenever we are going to talk, think before we talk. And whatever we are going to talk, we should believe ourselves in our own expression or messages. And if the person, one who is going to hear, one who is going to listen, if he may not get it, we should repeat it also. Repeat it, the important major points. And even we should find out what actually the listener means, the receiver means our partner with whom we are discussing or with whom we are communicating. What does he want? That his needs are also going to be taken into account while speaking. And that's why we should be able to have all this information, first hand information, while we are talking with another fellow. So, let me talk about now the functions of a speaking. And as far as the functions of speaking, dear students, there are a lot of functions of a speaking in a human lives every day. But still, some functions, broadly speaking, we have categorized over here, and those categorization will help us to understand the function of speaking. And as the speaking is a deliverable language through the mouth, and to speak we need all organs of speech. And while speaking, we are formal as well as informal. So before taking up the function, dear students, one more thing I would like to make you clear that a informal speaking is a typically used with the friends, family members, or the people in and around of us in an informal way. And a formal speaking occurs only in academic situation, business, or when meeting a people for the first time. So, like this, speaking is probably the language skill that most language learners wish to perfect as soon as possible because it is used to be the only language skill that was somewhat, we feel, difficult to practice. But if you have the rigorous way of practicing the approach within within a less time, even we can also be a good speaker in any language, whether it's a English, whether it's a any foreign or other Indian vernacular language is concerned. So let me now come back towards the functions. So as there are a lot of functions of the speaking in a human lives every day, but still broadly we have categorized these functions into three groups or three categorization. And those three categorizations is nothing but first one is interaction. As speaking as an interaction, the role of a speaking as an interaction is mostly of a social conversation. It reflects the roles and relationship of a speaker in a social setting. For example, chatting to a fellow passenger, telling a friend about an amusing experience, etc. So these are some example of it, and these are the interaction that which is going to happen. And in order to have these things, we conduct these things through a speaking only, and that's why this is what the function of a speaking as interaction. The second one, that is the transaction. And here, speaking as a transaction, we are going to see the role of speaking as a transaction is to make someone understood the message that we want to give it to him or her. The focus of this type of speaking is giving and receiving information and obtaining goods or services. For example, classroom teaching learning process, group discussion, shopping, making a telephone call, ordering a food from a menu in a restaurant. So, etc. are the example for transaction of speaking. And here we are going to use speaking as a transaction of information. So, the third function of the speaking is that is a performance. So, speaking as a performance, the role of speaking as a performance is to transmit the information before an audience. It generally incorporates a public speaking. It focuses on form, accuracy, organization, and sequencing, etc. of speaking. For example, a political speech, a discourse, conducting a class debate or a group discussion, participating in a seminar, giving lectures, special lectures or guest lectures, etc. Here we use speaking as a performance act. So these are some functions of the speaking, and in order to interact, in order to transact, in order to perform, we are using speaking skill in an effective way. So, dear students, after knowing the functions of a speaking skill, let us glance over this particular picture in which we are going to come across the sub skills of a speaking skill. And those sub skills of a speaking skills are: first one, vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and fluency. So all these four going to play a very vital role in order to learn, in order to learn to speak any language. And all these are going to be a deciding factor because they are going to help us to improve the tool of communication in a better way. And that's why these communication tools, we are going to see it. These sub skills of a speaking skills going to play a vital role, and it is very common desire for all of us to speak a second language as well, apart from being a mother tongue, because we are all well versed with our own mother tongue as we are born and brought up. We may not make any special attempt, but we have to do a lot of practice in order to learn the second language. To do this, we need to know what the skills are required to become a good speaker. And that's why this particular four sub skills are going to help us to make ourselves as a good speaker. So let me throw detailed light upon these sub skills of the speaking skill itself. So, first of all, this is what the mind map of a speaking skill, and in this mind map of a speaking skill, mainly it is categorized into vocabulary, fluency, pronunciation, and grammar. When all these things together will bring a kind of an accuracy in a speech of one particular person. So that's why we will go through these sub skills one by one. And the first one we are going to take up, that itself is a vocabulary. So, dear students, vocabulary is a very basic need of a language, because until and unless without having that vocabulary power, you may not be able to speak in a effective way. If you don't have the words to say what you want to say, then we can't say it. So being a good speaker means constantly growing our vocabulary. We should grow, we should enrich, we should keep on adding a lot of vocabulary. The more interesting words you know, the stronger you speak. That is what the funda of vocabulary. And that's why we should have a specific vocabulary. We should know how do that words are going to be formed, and we should know the appropriacy of that particular word, in which, in what condition that word is going to be used. And after all, having all this vocabulary power, word power, the word which we are going to use in the sentence, whether it is going to play the role of noun, whether it's going to be play a role of verb, whether it is going to be a play the role of adjective, these things should be also clear while we are speaking. And that's why we should be good at our word power, and we should develop, we should enrich our vocabulary in order to be a good speaker, and in order to have needed uh, basic infrastructure of a language is none other than a good vocabulary. So then, the pronunciation. So after knowing the words, the second subcategorization is how to pronounce the particular word. That also gives a different kind of a picture of ourselves. So we should learn the sound system which is existing in a language, and alphabetically there are 26 letters, but there are 44 sounds in an English language. So 24 consonant, and again a 20 are the vowels. Within the 20 vowels there are 8 pure vowels, and another 12 that those are called as a diphthongs. Okay, so if we able to learn this sound system, then definitely we will come to know the place of articulation of each and every sound. The second one in a pronunciation is a intonation. Intonation is nothing but where to rise our tone and where to fall our tone while we are uttering the particular words or the particular sentences. And that is what intonation pattern is used in the sentences. Sometimes we will raise all of a sudden our voice, sometimes our voice will become a low as if there is a fall in the sentences. Again, that is the third one, that is a stress. And again, there is a sentence stress as well as a word stress. That is also essential. And rhythm is also going to play a vital role. Rhythm is nothing but the punctuation skill of language, punctuation skill upon knowledge is nothing but a pause, the full stop, the comma, all these things we should know it. And even while doing all those things, we have to keep up our own speed. We should not be too much fast, we should not be too much slow. Rather, we have to speak in a moderate speed itself. So if you follow these things, then definitely we can able to articulate the particular sound in a correct way, and that is called as pronunciation. The third one, sub skills of a speaking skill, is nothing but a grammar. And grammar is a very important in any language, be it English or be it any other language. And mostly students are very much dreaded with these three words. Grammar doesn't matter, and we should make a fewer mistake as much as possible. If we want to be a good speaker, we should better ourselves with a grammar knowledge. And that is what we have to give importance, and we should speak the sentences without committing mistakes. Try to be flawless, use flawless language, and we should know how do a sentence can be constructed in a corrective way, how far the sentence is going to attract the others, one who are going to listen, one who are going to receive, and we should keep ourselves updated with all essential basic grammar in order to be a good speaker. And at last, that is the fluency, that is what the sub skill of speaking. So, here in a fluency, again, we should keep on talking, and while we are expressing ourselves, try to connect each ideas. There should be a connection. There should not be disconnected thoughts are going to be expressed. We should connect each and every idea, thought which we are going to convey. And we should take sometimes a pauses, and we should not have any kind of a hesitation whenever we want to express ourselves in a very honest manner. And if at all needs to give importance, we should able to repeat it again also. So in this way, if you follow all these essential things, if you are good at vocabulary, if you are good at pronunciation, and if you are sound at grammar, and automatically that will be reflected into a fluency of a language. And one who is a fluent at a language, he can able to speak very good language, and that good language will attract and will get lot of appreciation and admiration from others, and that what these things are going to play a vital role in learning the language. And dear students, be particular of all these skills, all these sub skills, and try your level best to imbibe these sub skills in order to become a good speaker. So now let me come back towards the importance of a speaking skill. And while talking about the importance of speaking skill, it is the most obvious skill which is essential for each and every one of us. And you are being then a student, as you are an absorber of a knowledge, and this skill is going to help a lot. And in order to communicate, in order to convey whatever we may think, this speaking skill is going to act as a most interactive skill. So, listening skill also develops understanding, and through that understanding, the proper correct communication is going to happen. And whenever there is a correct, proper communication, there is a no question of a misunderstanding. Listening skill also develops interpersonal skills, and because of these interpersonal skills, we feel as a member of a team, and naturally that team spirit feeling will come within ourselves in the larger interest of the institution or the group or the member of that particular team in which we are participating. Listening skill is also used as a tool of assessment. And dear students, you are all going through every term we are conducting assessment of speaking and listening in our school, and based upon your performance we are going to award a 20 marks even for that. And not only it is an tool of an assessment, it is an essential need of each and every human being to communicate properly and in an effective way with one another. And these are the things which we are going to learn about this skill called a speaking skill. And I hope with this we would like to conclude the today's presentation. Dear students, if at all you have any doubts or the queries or any kind of questions, if at all you have, you just keep on ask us. You can contact us on our WhatsApp number, or even you may put us into a WhatsApp group, your own class WhatsApp group, so that we would like our level best to clear your doubt itself. So, with this, the today's online offline class, which is conducted by myself, the Rakesh D. Nadakrni, PGT English, Avanodaya Shankar Nagar Nanded, and I would like to express thank to each one of you. Thank you, one and all. So, with this, the today's class comes to an end. See you tomorrow.